Hi there, I'm Simon Mainwaring, the CEO and founder of We First.
And I'm Tom Lindboe, advertising photographer, working mostly with purpose clients, and that's a little bit what we're going to talk about today.
Absolutely. So my company, We First, we're a creative consultancy that builds purpose-driven brands. And what Tom and I wanted to talk about is how do you really integrate purpose into a campaign, into your marketing? And I think the first place I might start is you need to know what your purpose is. I mean, you can't discover it in the moment, or you can't sort of react to what's going on outside you in culture and play into that and hope that that's a substitute for your purpose. It needs to be authentic to you. From a strategy point of view of defining your purpose, we like to think in terms of certain key questions. For example, it's hard to read the label from inside the jar. So how do you ask questions that are going to tease out what your purpose is in an authentic way? So some of those questions might be, well, what is your enemy? If you don't know what you're for, what are you against? What's that enemy you're working against? Or what are you the only of? Or when you're at your best, what are you doing? And when you answer these questions, you externalize yourself, and you look at the answers, you start to see a theme emerging, and then you can craft that language and define what your purpose is. How do you find, Tom? How do you get purpose into the work?
It's actually really interesting. I work much more with spirituality, and the way you describe a brand is actually also how my approach is to a human being.
Right.
It's basically defining your enemy inside and deal with that.
Right.
And very often you're not able to see it because it's too close up to you.
Yeah.
You start reacting on old patterns that are really not good for you, but that's where you're comfortable.
Right.
And I think it's the same thing you have with the corporations. You need people like you coming from the outside in to actually see what's right in front of them.
It is. It's right in front of you here. It's so hard to see because you're on the inside. You've got all the challenges of the daily demands of the business and all the distractions. And it's hard to see yourself from outside yourself. Yeah. And I think there's a couple of distinctions here that are really important. One is sometimes purpose is misunderstood just in terms of being utility. Like, do we have a function? It's more than that. It's the role you play in the world. So that's one distinction. The other distinction I draw is a lot of companies that are purposeful talk about it in a self-directed way. They talk about what their company is doing, what their employees are doing, how many hours they're volunteering, how many meals they're donating. And then that falls on deaf ears because they're making themselves the focus of attention.
Yeah.
If you've got a purpose, it's about getting off yourself and onto others. It's about being of service to others. So you need to be the celebrant rather than celebrity of your stakeholder community. And when you do that, then your purpose can be unlocked. And a lot of companies do it in a self-directed way. They say, well, we're doing all this good work, but why is it not resonating with anyone? Do you find the same?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, it's basically for me, it's much more about open up your heart, kind of the delight in. And when you start finding your own purpose, same thing with the companies, when you find your own purpose and kind of finding that bigger mission you are on, then you can much more relax. And you will find out that everything really accelerates. It's really about finding those energies. And one of the things I'm doing a lot also with my photography is basically trying to capture those energies in the images. And that can be for landscape, it can be for products, it can be for people, portrait. And the interesting thing is, when you start actually focusing on that, suddenly you will just connect in the most unexpected ways.
You just trust.
Totally trust, and that's kind of the first filters off. You have to sometimes really just get your head out of the way and start working with your heart. And basically, as we talked about earlier, like having those checklists and those old patterns put aside. Yeah. Of course, we need to have them. There's a reason why they're there. There's a lot of people that basically freaks out if they're not there.
Right, it's a security.
It's totally secure, but when you start loosening that up a bit, that's when you really can accelerate. And I really think if we need to change the world, we need to have the brands, the companies look at themselves as a person, as an identity in this world. And it's not about putting your brand out, it's not about selling products, it's not, they really need to find that mission in life to solve one of these goals. and then need to get the employees with them.
Right.
It's not from up top, it's really all the way down.
All the way, it's got to go through leadership, through employees, out to your customers, and then to the world at large. And so many brands approach this probably with the traditional advertising mindset, which might be, let's create something, let's manufacture something, let's create an image of ourselves, when really it's got to be true to you. No company was started for no reason. Every company has a purpose. And once you articulate that, then all of those different things you were doing, some philanthropy, some corporate citizenship work, you know, what it's sustainability, all of those things fall into place because they've always been informed by what that purpose was. It's just that until it was articulated, they were separate, and now they can all fall into place.
And it's also, I mean, we all know when we meet a person with just an amazing energy, we want to be a part of that person. We want to engage with that person.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so interesting, we can't put a finger on it, but it's basically because that person is so much in tune with itself.
Right.
The same thing is with brands and companies. When we have that experience that no matter where we interact with this brand, even when, you know, my device breaks and I have to go get it repaired, I just got this amazing good feeling about, you know, when it's kind of go through the whole company's DNA,
Yeah.
that's when people just, you know, really want to engage with that brand.
And it's so
But they can feel it's true, it's coming from the heart.
And it comes from, and that's why people want to work with that company, as you say. The biggest challenge for companies right now is talent pools. How do they get the people they need? How do they get the most out of those people? How do they stay longer? Younger people especially want to connect to something meaningful. They need to lead with their heart so they can attract the talent they want. So, you know, I think purpose is an incredibly powerful business building tool when done authentically, and obviously it's an incredibly important impact tool. And I think, you know, whether it's the craft of filmmaking or photography, or whether it's, you know, strategy and creative work, it's absolutely essential if you want to lead the future and make the difference we all need to.
And solve the human global goals.